So I'm Gwen Free, Kingdom Exchequer. The proper pronunciation is Gwen Vrui Verk Llewellyn, but Gwen Free is fine. I call it the anglicized version of the word. Of course, you can reach me at exchequer@ansteorra.org. There's my mailing address if you need to send me anything. If you can't find it in the Blackstar, which you should be able to, you can always reach out to me via Facebook or via email. My ER deputy is our former Kingdom Exchequer, Sean Daniel, aka John Godby. And that's his information, just in case anything happens to me. Who is this class for? Well, this is for current and incoming branch, regional, and deputy exchequers. Branch, regional, and deputy seneschals, our current or incoming landed baron and baronesses, our current or incoming royals, and financial committee members. They may or may not be any of the aforementioned. They could just be a member of your populace that is a paid member. So we want to make sure everybody is aware of financial policy. The hierarchy of the policy works as corporate society financial is the first layer, then kingdom, and then our branch policy, your individual branch policies. So that being said, and I'll get to that, the hierarchy of our offices is there's the corporate treasurer and the corporate exchequer, their PayPal deputy, their NMR deputy, and then the Kingdom Exchequers, and then all of our deputies. And then then below that is each groups. Your resources, SCA.org, Ansteorra.org, the Office of the Exchequer, your regionals and Kingdom Exchequer. We are a resource. If you can't find something, you need help with something, reach out to your regionals, reach out to me. I ask that you reach out to your regionals first. If you don't hear back within a couple days, feel free to reach out to me. Again, I try to respond within 48 hours. Sometimes things happen and I'm not able to, but I do try to respond within 48 hours. Sometimes things get dropped because I'm getting inundated with information. Please feel free to ping me again. If you want to speak to me rather than send an email because it's not something you feel needs to be in writing, I'm more than happy to take phone calls. If it is an emergency, my phone is in front of me. Between 8 and 5, I'm working, but I have certain amount of flexibility in my job that I can take phone calls. And I prefer you don't call me after 10 o'clock at night. I want to go to bed. I want to get some sleep. You can also contact me via Facebook, but also follow up with an email. If it is something that requires written confirmation, send it in an email. When you have questions, communicate. This is the most important thing I can stress. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this to you. We play this game because this is our hobby and we love it. But we also have, and I'm going to use the word mundane, things that take precedence. Your family takes precedence. Your job takes precedence because your family is important and your job is important because without your job, you can't pay to play, as they say. Always assume that people have the best intentions. Please stay flexible and please know that we are here to help. So the financial policy review this time is we are going to cover society financial policy and our current kingdom policy. Our current kingdom policy needed to be updated, but when I talked to society, they were like, we're changing ours, so why don't you hold off? So now I have to do ours. So if you have not done your policy, reviewed your policy, please do so after I finish kingdom and we are approved by the board. So reporting policy. Actually, I'm going to back up for a minute. Please, when you set up your financial policy for your group, do it in the exact same format that is society policy. Kingdom's policy will be set up with the exact same table of contents. as will, as should yours. This is for ease and convenience. So when I get your policy and I'm cross-referencing it with Kingdom and Societies, I'm looking from apples to apples instead of from apples to oranges. Creating this was a bit of training this time was a bit of a kick because our old policy was in a different format than society policy, the new society policy. So I spent my husband helped me out and quickly helped me ping key areas and where they needed to be applied to. So on these slides, you're going to see the term SFP, which stands for Society Financial Policy, and KFP, Kingdom Financial Policy. This will let you know which one of these items, where it is coming from. So reporting policy, branches that are associated with affiliated organizations, they don't have financial reporting requirements to the SCA. Our report per kingdom, your reports are due on the last day of the month following the reporting month, i.e. the July month ending July 31st is due by August 31st to your regional. Right now, per Kingdom Financial Policy, you need to send in your report, completed, balanced, and signed. And the pages that need to be signed are pages 1, or actually was it 3, 4, and 2? Those are the pages that need to be signed. Your bank statement that should be initialed or signed by the Seneschal, I ask that the treasurer also initial and sign this. And I will update that policy. And your electronic ledger, basically your check register. You should also send any notifications of variances in effect. If you have a variance from society, and that's who you will get a variance from, make sure that it is noted on your monthly report somewhere on the notes page, so we know that there is a variance in effect. Now, this is the one that's kicking me. This is brand new. If Kingdom does not, I'm going to ask that you hold until I finish reporting policy, make yourself a note in this section, and then I will answer questions. Failure to provide our consolidated year-end report by the deadline, which is April 1st, basically March 31st is the deadline report. Corporate will now bill the kingdoms for delaying the audit because they have gone over budget the last couple of years. So basically, if your report is not in to doomsday by January 31st, you will be late, and you will be a group that will be fined, because we will be pushing out, looking to push that out to the expenses to the groups instead of the kingdom eating it. So get your December 31st month ending report done and finished and into your regional doomsday and to me, so we don't have to fine you. The financial statements consist of the balance sheet and income statements, and you need to publish these annually, at least annually, in the newsletter or distributed membership in some other form. I put it in your group's newsletter. Your event reports are due 10 business days after the event closes. NMR should have your event report. Please, please, please get those in. We have to report the NMR up to society. If she doesn't have it, I can't report it up to the report. The other reports that are due, your budgets and inventory are due by the end of November. Your financial policy should be done every other year, even if it's just a refresh look at it, nothing changed, send it back up, and all you do is change the date, and we'll sign off on it by the end of July. So basically, late reporting per kingdom, your designated representative, your regional, can give you an extension up to the 10th day of the month following the due date. But if you need more time than that, we will work with you. Again, communicate. If you haven't communicated and you fail to file your reports within the 30 days after the end of the report deadline, i.e. your December report was due January 31st and you have not given it to us by the end of February, you have grounds for suspension, bad typo, or financial probation for your group. That is the last thing you want happen. Okay, questions about reporting? Tim?
Yeah, can you tell me, is there like a commonality in the types of variances we would receive from the kingdom? Like I know there's like 4 or 5 different types of variances. I was just curious. Or is that like really not important?
The types of variances just depends on what it's a variance from current financial policy and the current kingdom society handbook. It's all based on what society allows. So here's a perfect example. Bringalod has a variance to use Zephy.
Oh, I understand what you're defining as a variance. Okay, I misunderstood what you were defining initially. Thank you for your explanation.
Okay, any other questions? Excellent. Next section, financial offers and requirements. You have to be a paid member. You have to submit the information of your legal identification and your membership to the SCA when applying for a warrant. Any identification issued is an acceptable form by a government entity is acceptable. Your passport is acceptable. Anything that you would use to prove your identity. You can't give me a credit card. That doesn't work. But like I said, photo ID, something with a photo, not your Costco card, or was it Sam's Club, whichever one does their pictures now. It has to be something issued from the government with a photo to confirm who you are and your membership. Everybody should have an emergency deputy. Right now, and I'm just side note, the way we are working it with the office of the Kingdom Exchequer office is when you're Kingdom Exchequer, I spent a year beforehand acting as ER deputy. I've stepped into the position and I plan to spend a year after as the ER deputy. So we're trying to make it basically, you spend a year learning the job, you spend 2 years doing the job, and then 1 year acting as backup and just keeping a tab on what's going on in society. Having that overlap works. We're trying to make it so your emergency deputy is prepared to step in when you step down. Your bank accounts must have a warranty. Your signatories. All deputies to the Exchequer must be warranted, including 2, but not limited to, I love this, inventory officers, regalia ministers, and quartermasters. Lovely word. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Okay, so I love this one. No one person can have maybe responsible for all aspects of the financial management of the assets, your cash in, non-cash out. It has to have multiple people overseeing it. That's why we all have financial committees. That's why when you write a check, it should be to signatories. In case of disbursement to a family member or to yourself, you should have it signed by unrelated parties. And As an exchequer, you should abstain from a financial vote. And here's a good case of making sure you have your ER deputy. If you know there's a vote that you have a conflict of interest or you might be implied in, like, oh, I'm going to run this event, have your ER deputy act on your financial committee as that vote, your voter in your place. You say, I'm recusing myself. My ER is going to act in the office of the exchequer for this vote. And make note of that. You cannot hold more than one office at a time without written approval from all relevant superior officers. And seneschal and exchequer can never be held by one person and cannot be held by individuals who are immediately related or operate out of the same residence. This is very important. Ladies and gentlemen, this is for your protection. I want to reiterate, for your protection, because if something happens, something questionable happens, if you and who you're related to are the seneschal and the exchequer, there could be a question about malfeasance. This is to protect you. Bonwick?
Quick clarification on having a deputy vote on behalf of an exchequer. Would that deputy already be a member of the financial committee, or are they?
Your ER exchequer deputy, not just a deputy, it's the ER deputy for the exchequer.
Right. Wouldn't they be a member of the financial committee already and thus have their own vote? Or
no, they do not have a vote based on the financial policy of the group.
Okay.
Most groups are going to have 3 to 5 people, or 3 to 6. 3 to 6, I should say. Because most groups are going to have, and we'll get into what constitutes the financial committee, but
okay.
Really, in reality, the financial committee for most groups, and we'll get into that, is usually the exchequer, the seneschal, and another third party. In most cases, if it's a barony, it's the B&B, which each have a combined vote that equals 1.
Mm-hmm. So this would be a person stepping in who would not normally be able to vote,
right?
But doing so on behalf of. Okay, thank you. I just wanted
they
to
would be
clarify
acting
that.
they would be the acting treasurer, exchequer at that moment.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Basically, don't mingle your money with any individual or business. It is it's a misappropriation of funds. And basically that need is to be reported to your superior officer within 24 hours of discovery. Vera?
Yeah, can we go back to the question about the deputies and the trailer things? It was mentioned that it has to be a deputy of the exchequer, correct?
Yes.
So
I'm going to touch on the trailers is much later in here.
Okay, then never mind. I'll wait.
Okay. Okay. All offices that have oversight of non-cash assets as the main purpose must be a deputy to the appropriate branch exchequer. Basically, this is saying any deputy that handles inventory, PayPal, NMR, they need to be a deputy. You can be appointed, directed, or removed by the exchequer that you report to. Any questions about segregation of duties? Okay. Bank account structure and identification. So basically, all your money must go into a government-recognized banking institution or credit union. Investment in stocks or financial accounts that are not insured by the government, the FIDC, is prohibited without a variance, basically, from society. This is a case of another one of those what we call variances. All groups should have their name on the account be SCA Inc., or most people use SCA Inc. dash and then the group's name. So there's variances of how you write your name. So in the case of a subsidiary, it's the name of the group, SCA, and then the group Inc. There are some states that have their own entity, which causes so much fun. Fitting off.
That naming convention is directly opposite what it currently is.
Yeah, this is current, and I'm going to point that out to society because it bank accounts.
I would think that they would want the SCA Inc. hyphen.
I
and then
think
the brand.
Yeah, I'll get clarification on that one, but this is how it is per financial policy at this moment, so we'll go with that. But yeah, most of it, you know, this is not relevant to us, to Ansteorra, because we are SCA Inc. dash group.
But that's not what you have written here.
Again, this is corporate
Right.
verbiage, and I will bring this up to them.
Because otherwise expect to see 30 plus bank account change requests coming through.
Again, there's things that people didn't catch. Again, this is the next item is regarding having to do that are not part of the affiliated organization are designed to meet requirements of the temporary government for basically anybody outside the US. This is part of society policy. Okay, so branches and kingdoms of all levels will submit new financial account requests to the Society Exchequer. They must receive approval prior to opening a new account. That's basically if you want to start a new account. If you already have an account, then as you know, you fill out the form. It comes up to me. I fill out a form to society. Then they send it back to you guys and to me once it's done. Basically, the next line basically says you have to have the meet the approval designation for the official organization, a handbook to be before you can open a bank account and have independent money. If you have a branch that does not have official status, they must have their funds handled through an SCA owned bank account. But they are held as a designated fund by the branch. Or if the case is a proposed kingdom, it's the Society Exchequer. That's meaning if there's a new group that has not yet met the approval designation, their funds can be held in trust. It's basically held in trust through another group or barony or the kingdom, because technically the kingdom can do it as well. This is where we any changes to your financial accounts needs to be reported to the Society Exchequer. If you don't have sufficient funds to open a bank account, you'll have to keep them in another SCA bank account or contact the Exchequer to make arrangements. So incipient branches cannot have their own separate checking accounts. They, once again, must be held in a designated. They're getting very specific with the verbiage. So every branch of the Office of Exchequer must provide copies of the reconciled statements to their Seneschal, their Kingdom Exchequer, or their basically superior. In the case for most groups, it's you report it to your Seneschal. Based on your financial policy, you probably report it to your B&B, and then you also report it to your upline, which in our kingdom would be your regional. Your bank statements must be made available to your Exchequer and Seneschal. Additional signatories may be granted access, and branches may use online bank statements. Instead of waiting for it to arrive in the mail, you can go and download it. Any questions regarding that information? I feel like I should have crickets chirping every once in a while. Okay, the bank account transactions. There must be 2 signatures on all checks. 2 electronic authorizations or written authorizations for the majority of the branch entity financial committee are required for all types of electronic funds transfers, including but not limited to EFT, ACH, and wire transfers. This can be done via email. Somebody sends a request to get funds, and the Exchequer can say, and you make this part of the chain. I approve, Exchequer approves, Seneschal approves, and B&B approves. You only need 2 authorizations for it to be approved for it to happen. So transfers between entity bank accounts may be made by the Exchequer without additional authorization, i.e. if you need to move funds out of your group's savings account to your main checking account, there is no authorization to help cover a check, help cover a deposit, help cover something. You don't require additional authorization. It's just good practice to notify the financial committee you're doing that. Now this one, branches and other entities with society-approved bank accounts may accept electronic fund deposits in lieu of cash or checks with the appropriate documentation. There is a form for sending money electronically. I'm getting more clarification on this. I'm going to state that now, more clarification. Any questions? Okay, signatories. To be a signer on the bank account, you must be a paid member in good standing with the SCA. You should have at least 4 paid members as signatories on the account. They do not have to be, not all of them, but there are certain requirements. You should have your group's Exchequer, your group's Seneschal, your ER deputy is a good one. You have to have your a branch level, so the society level or kingdom level groups. Basically, if you are a barony, canton, shire, whatever, you should have your regional on your as a signer on your account. You can also have one of the kingdom, me or any of my deputies, a signer on your account. And you can have any other paid member of the group. Case in point, I am here in Denton. Sean is up in, where are you? Holiday. So we have, Kingdom has a representative as Kingdom Exchequer. I have a representative who is local, who I know is a paid member, who is a signer on the account. So I don't have to drive an hour and a half to get a signature from somebody else. So that is the case. You can do that in a case like Bonwick, where you're spread out all over the place. Whoever's your Exchequer, they should have a local paid member as a signer on the account, so they don't have to drive too far to get signed checks. Yeah, Bonwick?
I was informed that landed nobility are not allowed to be signatories on accounts. Is that true?
It is not written into kingdom law or society law. We're looking at this.
Okay, because I was
But
removed as a signatory without being consulted and was told it was because it was to be in line with society policy. So I was just kind of wondering about that.
This is current society policy, not previous society policy. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm putting it into policy. The reason for this is as a baron and baroness, you have a certain standing within your group, and being seen signing checks for the group calls into question. Plus, as the baron and baroness, you get reimbursements issued to you for expenses that you've probably paid for that are budgeted. You just don't need to be on there. They can have an extra person, like I said, a local extra person who is a paid member. That's all it needs to be. So that is, it's better. And it's basically, again, these rules are in place to safeguard you guys from any hint of malfeasance. And of course, signatories, they are prohibited from living together or sharing the same address and cannot be immediately related. This is very important. You cannot live together, share an address, or be immediately related. Again, malfeasance, avoiding look of a malfeasance. Senior cards must be updated when you transition. They've luckily changed this over. So, we've changed this over, and society's changed over how this is processed, because I know most of you remember you put in for a request to do your bank change and it took forever. Now it seems to be cranking within about 30 days. You can't, no signatory on an updated signature card may be within 60 days of their membership expiration date. Please, as an exchequer, when you're doing a report, please look at that to see if somebody's coming up on expired. More than likely, they've done it. I think it's kind of crazy that we have 60 days because, and I'm going to say this, because most people aren't going to renew it until 30 days. I might look at changing that, and I'll talk to society about it. Sovereigns, consorts, and the heirs of the kingdom are not allowed to become new signatories on a kingdom, branch, or other account while they hold that status. To me, baron and baronesses are representatives of the sovereigns and consorts, so therefore they should fall under this rule. No check written by an account signatory should not be signed by them or related party. So, any questions about signatories? Go ahead, Diego.
So this may just be slightly pedantic in my brain. If they are not allowed to be two signatories of the same household or direct relation, then would they not also be incapable of being directly related to the party of the signatory in that last section?
What it's saying is that you can't sign a check that's basically going to you or your spouse or somebody else in your direct household.
Yeah.
Okay, I misinterpreted
It's saying
that.
related party. It's basically, I can't sign a check for my husband.
Okay, that was what I was questioning because it
Yeah.
sounded like
I mean,
essentially
a
saying that
related
your
party.
husband couldn't sign a check for you, but if you're
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
okay.
Or related party, and basically I think it's related party. And I'll work on getting clarification, make that a little bit more clearer.
I think simply switching or related party to check written to any account signatory or related party must not be signed by that person would probably clear that up a little more.
Yeah, we'll clear up that verbiage.
Okay, thank you.
Going forward. Excellent point. Thank you. Financial records, yay! So basically, you have to maintain your. This is maintaining your financial records. There should always be 2 copies of the records. You can maintain static electronic or paper records of all the financial activity. So I love this. You must keep detailed records, must be maintained. Receipts, disbursements, and contributions must be specifically itemized. You must have 1 backup copy off-site. Google Drive is an excellent place to do it, or an external hard drive or flash drive or cloud storage. And these records should be updated quarterly. So, or actively as it happens. Google Drive, most officers have Exchequers have a Google account. Use your Google Drive for your backup is my recommendation. Basically, reconciliation should happen every month. And you must sign it as the Exchequer and the reviewer, who is usually the branch seneschal. You need to keep all records for 7 full years. So we are in 2026. So you need 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19. Anything from 2018 and before can go away. Clean up your emails, clean up your files. Do not hang on to things that are from 2018 and previously. So if it has a 2018 date, go ahead and delete it. So, and when you change office, you must turn these over to your successor within 30 days of the person leaving the office. So the financial records have, carry a lot of things. You should have any accounting software associated data. Your financial committee meeting minutes. You should be keeping financial committee minutes. Anytime your financial committee meeting is meeting, you should make minutes. Documentation of financial committee decisions. These are part of the minutes. Your monthly bank reconciliations and statements, your communications, your annual budgets, your financial reports. So anything 2018 and previous, you do not need to hang on to. Oop, we've moved on. Any questions about your financial records? Go ahead, Bringalad. Go weird.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize I had it on mute. So you're saying we don't need to keep anything after 2018, or should we keep at least an archive copy of some of the activity before that for record preservation, so we can go back and say this is what we did back then?
You do not need to keep it.
Okay, I'll go back through and delete it from my Google Drive then.
Yeah, if you do not need it. If you want to keep like event report information, so you have the records of the events, create a spreadsheet. Do yourself a favor, create a spreadsheet to keep records of attendance and those things on events and keep it updated. That way, if somebody's like, oh, what are our average number of attendance? You can go, oh, well, for our annual event at Steps Warlord, last year we had, 450. The year before that, we had 363. That way you have that record. Because when somebody's doing an event bid, it allows them to get a good idea of how many people they think might show up. So those things are good things. And that's the other thing. And I'm going to add to this is financial, your event records, your event reports, those are something you should keep handy for the 7 years in case there's questions. Any other questions? Did I miss somebody? Anybody else? Going. Okay, financial committee. All the assets. Money and non-cash assets, i.e. your inventory, your supplies, must be managed by the financial committee. The financial committee basically votes on it. Again, all voting members of financial committee must be paid members. Financial committees must have a minimum of 3. A simple majority is the minimum requirement for approval of all actions. 2 people. We'll get to questions after I finish the section. Basically, should have the Exchequer and the Seneschal be financial committee members. They are financial committee members. In the case of a baron and barony, the baron and baroness are usually the ones that must be specified in your groups. Actually, I believe we have it in their kingdom, but we'll confirm that when we get there. Financial committee should be comprised of one of the following: the group, including the Seneschal Exchequer, and they should all be in good standing, which is pretty much standard. Again, sovereigns, consorts, and heirs have one composite vote, i.e. meaning the king and queen have one vote between the two of them. The baron and baroness have one vote between the two of them. Again, you have to recuse yourself if you have any decisions that you have any financial interest. You must attend the financial policy within 90 days of joining the committee. That's why we are recording this class. Being on the financial committee does not require you to be an account signatory. So being on the financial committee does not mean you have to be an account signatory. In the case of baron and baroness, or the crowns, or the heirs, they cannot be, so it is not a requirement. You should have at least 3, again, we reiterate, via kingdom policy, 3 and officers / nobles authorized to make the decisions. Branch financial committees must authorize all withdrawals of funds from branch accounts via the advanced completion of a financial disbursement form, your check request form. I love that. It's a very specific financial disbursement form. Check request form, email request, check request form, required check request forms for somebody to get money. Just requirement. Just like when you're going to cut a check for somebody that you think might be a 1099, request that W-9 before you'll give them the check. You should, your financial committee will have Kingdom Financial Policy, or Kingdom Financial Policy has a time frame of normal approval of business in 30 days. Meeting minutes and emails are filed with the Kingdom Exchequer, and we will meet twice a year at a designated event. This is Kingdom Policy, and correspond in the interim by email. So basically, twice a year we need to meet in person and have a financial committee meeting in person. The rest of them can be done via online. And basically for the Kingdom Financial Committee, we are required to do the same as you guys. Any changes to we have to do our budget. They're required very specifically. The great officers of state need to submit their requests for their financial requirements for the budget by October 1st. The Kingdom Exchequer will prepare the annual budget, and the financial committee will approve it. Summary page of the approved Kingdom budget for publication in the February issue of the Kingdom newsletter. Well, again, this is a case of didn't know that. That was financial committee. Any other questions? Bringalad? I'm not sure who was first.
Oh, I don't.
Okay, Southern?
Yeah, so I know, okay, the minimum number is 3, but was it my understanding that we want to move towards 5 people on the committee? And how hard should I be pushing that?
Okay. That again, the Kingdom Financial Policy has to be rewritten. And it will be written in such a way that we recommend that baronies have at least 5. A minimum of 3, but recommend that baronies have 5.
Where will that put provinces?
Provinces will fall under other smaller groups. In my mind, so they need to have at least 3. And quite honestly, I think the kingdom should have 5. So, but again, if this is a financial policy, I've got to go over it with the financial committee. So, okay. The financial policies. All financial committees must have a written financial policy. The financial policy must be approved by the financial committee before filing for approval from the superior financial officer, i.e. meaning you create your financial policy. It must come up to, and this does not go to the regionals, it has to come up to Kingdom. I'm going to tell you to send it up to Kingdom for approval, i.e. I need to sign off on it. The same way that society has to sign off on Kingdom financial policy. Kingdom financial policy may serve as your financial policy for your branches. I'm going to make this very, 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 this is my opinion on it. If you are referencing Kingdom financial policy for your section, say, default it, just say as per Kingdom financial policy. If you don't have anything that fits that particular section as it is on, in the outline for society policy, say, see Kingdom financial policy. That way you have told people that this section is basically, we're defaulting to Kingdoms, and Kingdom might be like, we're defaulting to society. Although Kingdom usually has additional items that we add on. The best way to sum this up for most of you, and I think everybody will understand this, and I always use this reference, in the case of heavy fighters, we have society minimum armor requirements. Each kingdom adds on to that. In Ansteorra, you don't need chest protection, but other kingdoms do require chest protection, unless you're a female. Let me specify that. But other kingdoms might require men to have chest protection. So this is this understanding of how your financial policies compile. Society sets the minimum standard. Kingdoms may add on, and then groups may add on top of what kingdom has done. You can't do less what the kingdom has done or what society has done. You can go up, but you can't go down. And now that's where it gets a little tricky, and you'll understand a little bit. The financial policy includes at a minimum, and this talks about all the different sections, but all of these sections are outlined in society policy. They're just in a different order than what they've listed here. Please do not create your financial policy using this order. Use the table of contents from society policy. Make sure there's certain things. That's a fun one. Current cash. Make sure you have a policy regarding refunds. You must have a written policy on refunds. And this is the best part. Policies regarding admission charges, refunds, or complimentary passes. Non-members who receive complimentary passes must still pay the non-member fee. I'm using society financial policy. That is society financial policy. Non-members who receive complimentary passes must still pay the non-member surcharge. So if you comp somebody who is acting as entourage for the king and queen, and they're an NMR, they're not a member, they still have to pay the $10 fee. And these are all important things. Make sure you have your policy aspect, management and control of the inventory. Ooh, Baroness of Northkeep. I'm going to take your call.
It was my understanding that we could not comp people if they were not paid members. Has that changed?
This is the newest and latest, greatest of society financial policy. So yes, you can't, if they are not a member, you can comp them. They just have to pay that NMR fee.
You're awesome. Thank you.
Very welcome. Cynthia?
Yes, thank you. Barony of Bjornsburg, we just did our financial policy. I'm not sure if it has been uplined. Can we may need to change it because I don't know for sure that we followed these. I mean,
again, I'm telling everybody to please hold off on your financial policy updates until I've revised Kingdom.
Okay, so whatever we did may be different, but it's okay. We're fine for now.
Yeah, you're fine for now.
Thank you.
You are fine for now. And I know there was somebody else whose hand was raised. Bringelot?
Yeah, on that note of holding off until Kingdom financial policy has been revised,
And
is
approved.
there a, and approved? Is there a timeline for that? Is there's a chance for us to be like out of compliance until that happens if we're trying to align to something else? So what's
Basically, society policy overwrites anything on your policy right now. You have to,
so
if something in here is different from what it says on your financial policy, it is society financial policy that you follow.
right? So as example, I think it was when Southern Exchequer was asking about the number of people on a financial committee. He said we need to revise it. If a group is currently like not in alignment with the current kingdom policy, I'm just trying
policy, okay, the current kingdom policy and society policy is there must be 3 members or 3 votes. Let's qualify it as 3 votes. That is the current policy.
yeah, and it wasn't about that specific thing, but just like
I'm just saying it's like right now you are, the reason why I'm telling you not to jump up and down on redoing your financial policy until kingdom policy is done is that I don't want you guys to do all the work of reorganizing, and changing things that you think is done when kingdom is going to do it. It might show up in kingdom policy. So,
Okay.
and then I have to, and then you have to redo it again. Like I said, I was ready to, go. I reached out and, hey, I need you to, why haven't you guys signed up? It's like, oh, we sent back the changes, but don't worry. And she said basically, don't worry about it because we're doing society. So there's no point in you worrying about making these changes because society is going to be changing and you're probably going to have to change yours. So that's what I'm saying is society is finally giving me theirs, and they give me theirs at the, just before Christmas.
Got it. Okay.
And so I'm like, I've got to sit down and like I said, part of this case is I've got to sit down and get this done. So I'm telling you all to hold off. There have been some who have been like, I've approved them, even though I know they're going to have to redo them. But that way they had an active financial policy because there were certain things on their financial policy they needed to be active.
Yeah.
Because
and then I have one other, oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I have one other question concerning the non-member. I can't remember if the term we're not supposed to use is surcharge or fee, but the non-member cost, where we can't comp it. But is it
okay?
Is it that person has to pay, or could the group choose to like pay the $10 for a non-member who was comped?
The group cannot pay. The person has to pay.
Okay.
Did somebody raise their hand, or did they raise their hand and put it down?
I think Sena's on the same line as I am, because Sena just asked, but can anyone, like, can someone else pay for them?
Yeah. Yes. If okay, so if you're taking your friend who is somebody's okay, I'm going to use the Crown because it's the best example. The Crown's going to the event. They're bringing their one, their entourage with them, but the entourage is not a member, and the Crown wants to pay for it. We don't sit back and tie back whose cash came in or whose check was written to what line. It just needs to be paid. But the groups, and quite honestly, and I'll get clarification on this one. I'm going to ask about that, because if a group has it in their thing that the group will the group will pay for the NMR fee, it might be viable.
Right. Yeah, because I was thinking of like, what if a group wants to do a fundraiser so that they have cash on hand set aside to enable, say, students to be able to come to the event, and they send the NMR to society. That's the thought that I'm having. So yeah, clarification would be great.
If you set that account as non-SCA money, the SCA doesn't care.
Yeah, I was going to say,
So
groups
that
can't
would
do
have
that
to be-
it's the nonprofit status thing from years of DRC's work. Groups can't pay for people. The people can pay for people. So it has to come out of a non-SCA account.
It has to be a side account where we can't run it through the official group.
Right.
Okay.
Does that make sense? The SCA can't pay for somebody, but anybody can pay for anybody else. Because it happens at gays. You walk up, they sign, oh, I'm bringing my friend. I'm going to pay for their site. So that's the understanding. And yeah, non-members like comp non-members. I gotta look. Like I have roundtable. My phone's going off. You should have a policy for sales tax if you're obligated to pay state sales tax. Please consult, and I'm going to ask that you consult with. They say consult with corporate treasurer and vice president of corporate operations prior to writing any policies on handling state sales tax, as each state is different. Please keep. I'm going to add this on. Please keep Kingdom in the loop. So, and in the case of Vinheim and your principality, if you have one, interkingdom events can have their own separate financial committee. Perfect example, Gulf Force has a separate financial committee, and they have their own separate financial policy. I love this. And then interkingdom events are defined as an event which has a standard monetary distribution to another kingdom's accounts based on a calculation method other than or in addition to volunteer hours, and has the event administration either as a perpetual independent event staff or changes between kingdoms on a standard rotation. So like I said, this is where we've got, you're talking about Gulf Wars. I think it's Great Western War is another one. And then of course, Penzic. So they have, like I said, financial policy set up for these interkingdom events. And if it's an interkingdom event, the policy has to be approved by the BOD and the board of directors and the Exchequer. And the interkingdom financial policy must include the standard distribution calculation and any event specific financial policies, which I love that. So basically they're saying you have to have it listed what the distribution is. You know, how much they're going to get divided out between the kingdoms who are, doing, participating in this event. The Society Exchequer will review each kingdom's policy, interkingdom event policy, and the Laurel Office financial policy. And they must be presented to the board for approval, and they have to be done no less than every 2 years. Basically, kingdom, interkingdom events, and a Laurel Office financial policies are an addenda to this policy. Kingdom exchequers may require financial policies for interkingdom events. Basically, this policy was reviewed when the Kingdom's Exchequer Office changes, when Society policy requires changes, or every 2 years. Basically, those are the triggering events for the changes. And we probably need to mention that it also is the triggering event for groups as well. This, okay, any more questions about financial policies? I know this is tricky. And sorry. Wow. Okay, we're going to start moving a little bit quick because we're only halfway through. Expense authorization. Your financial committee will approve the annual and event budgets within 30 days and beforehand. Financial committee must approve unbudgeted expenditures. Emergencies are handled on a case-by-case basis according to your financial policy. No officer of any level can authorize payments that do not support the SCA's tax-exempt purposes. There's guidelines for this in the Society Exchequer's Officer's Handbook. You must have fully documented receipts to support all your expenses that you're reimbursing somebody for. You cannot use money. You cannot You cannot use SEA funds to reimburse for expenses for events or meetings closed to the general populace unless the events or meetings have business agenda which requires limited attendance, such as officer staff meetings, kingdom councils, and event planning meetings. Kingdom Finance, we can have more additions to this for Kingdom Financial Policies. So basically what they're saying is, and this has come up more than times than I'd like to think, if your group is doing an event and you're like, oh, we're going to do a lunch for the Baron and Baronesses at this event and the Crown, that the SCA group cannot fund that because you are doing a limited small group. If it's just a luncheon like that, you cannot do that. If it is a business meeting with the limited attendance, that's something different. But for just in general, you cannot pay for something that is closed to the general populace. Bonwick, go ahead.
So in a business meeting context, that might be like paying to reserve a room.
Yes.
Where there would be a limited business meeting, as opposed to like, and providing lunch for everyone who came to the meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
You know, you want to be careful because, like I said, we're talking about that tax exempt thing. Like I said, it's like I try to tell people, always err on the side of caution. Or if you don't know, ask. You can get a variance on a case by case basis, but you've got to have, you've got to get that written request basically 7 days prior to the event or the meeting date. Any other questions about expenses? I love this one. Special purpose and dedicated funds. You must keep records of this separately. When you set up a dedicated fund, it must be listed as separate and it should have an expiration date. No longer than 2 years. So basically, if you have a dedicated fund, the group will have it for only 2 years, and and you must have what's going to happen to it after that 2 years. It's going to go into the general fund is usually pretty much the final end is that the final destination for all special purpose funds will be the general fund. If you set aside dedicated funds for something after 2 years, if it's not been used, it goes into the general fund. Sufficient reserves must exist to fund any outstanding liability. Basically, you need to keep enough money in the bank account to cover any outstanding expenses. Basically, we recommend that you be able to take keep enough money in reserve to cover your expenses. COVID taught us a beautiful lesson about that, making sure your group has enough money to cover its normal yearly expenses that would be handled. Bringolad, you had a question?
On dedicated funds, if it's a rotating fund such as our VFW expenses where we take the money out and put it in every year, that doesn't hit that 2-year time limit.
Hold it. Say that again.
We had the VFW fund that we collect money every year to pay for our VFW site rental.
Mm-hmm.
We borrow from that and we put money back in, but that shouldn't hit that 2-year limit, right?
No, because basically, okay, so you put the money in the dedicated fund, then you pull out the money to pay for the fund, but then you turn around
more money to it after that. Yeah.
Yes, and that's
okay. So we don't need to do like VFW 2025, VFW 2026. Or do we need to do it that way and then like roll over whatever's extra?
I would do that way, because if you save $1,200 and you only use $1,000, the $200 needs to go back into the fund, or you roll it, and you need to put it into that fund. Okay. Or if you have it in your financial policy that says any unused, if in a case like that, have it written in your policy that any unused funds from the previous year's dedicated fund can roll to the next year's dedicated fund. Put in your policy. So basically, item C is make sure you have enough money to cover your expenses. COVID taught us that horrible lesson to make sure you can cover, your storage rent, your rental, and any other normal yearly expenses you have. In the case of the kingdom, we have, QuickBooks expense. We have all these expenses. We need to make sure we always have enough to cover that. And given that COVID taught us that 2 years is pretty standard, let's leave it at that. Hang on for just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, sorry about that. Make sure that donations that are earmarked for anything that does not, that is contrary to our tax exempt status or found untenable or undesirable by the potential recipient can be declined by the financial committee. You can decline money. I know it seems counterintuitive to say no to money, but if it could affect our tax exempt status, because we do get audited, you're working in the best interest of not just your group, but the society as a whole. We cannot accept vehicles as a donation, which I think is hysterical. The dedicated funds must have a primary and secondary purpose when they're established, so you know what that is. They must be transferred to the general fund. We already covered that. Again, these are things that kind of cross-reference with the previous. Kingdom policy, we have a Crown Travel Fund that is part of our annual budget. Mileage and receipts for gasoline, but also other event-related expenses like site fees, receipts for airfare, and other transport. So basically, the Crown has a travel fund. The Coronet may use funds for their upcoming reign for the following events: Gulf Wars and Penjic War, regardless of the Crown attendance, plus in-kingdom events where the Crown is not in attendance. Yep, so that's it. Any questions about special purpose and dedicated funds? Or did we cover them as they happen? Yep. Okay. So basically, any check disbursement is a check, will be made to an entity or individual business following the policy under the bank account transactions. No disbursements will be made by cash. I love this. Disbursements to all individuals or entities over $600 per annum require that you have a completed W-9 provided by the vendor. As Exchequer, you're required to collect that form. Cash advances must be documented prior to disbursements and will be treated as receivable items until they are reconciled by presentation of cash receipts and or cash totaling the amount of the advance. Reconciliation of advances must occur within 60 days of the disbursement. So basically saying you can give out cash advances, don't recommend it. And that must be reconciled. You must basically get the receipts back and any remaining cash from that disbursement. And cash advances will be done by check. You're not going to hand somebody cash. You're going to write them a check. Documentation of the funds going to them and what it was for. And then within 60 days, you need to get the receipts for that cash advance and any, remaining cash. Ooh. No petty cash funds are allowed. That's very important. And the checks must always be made out to the person or business. It must never be made out to cash, even if it is for gate seed. You will make it out to the person because they are basically the person responsible for the cash. Any questions about checks, Pringlewad? I can't hear you. Go learn.
Sorry, I didn't realize I had my hand still up.
Okay. Vera?
Okay, quick question about checks and cash advances and gate seed. Two of them. One, technically, I would say they're a cash advance because you're writing a check for gate seed and then you get it reimbursed back.
Mm-hmm.
let's pick on Honor for a second. She gets probably 2 or 3 gate seed advances per year just because of the event she runs. Should we be collecting a W-9 form for that,
No,
or
that is
okay?
a cash. Okay, in the case of gate seed, first off, it doesn't, and like you said, you're talking about, the thing is with gate seed, the thing about gate seed is basically, you're basically saying, hey, here's the $300 to start you off, so you have change. And then when she gives you, she will give, when she gives you back all the money is given back from the event, the gate seed is a separate amount and a separate deposit amount. So basically you show the $300 going out with the check to her and the $300 coming back in with a separate deposit.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure that that's
Yeah, that's a case. Gate seed is a separate little monster of its own.
yeah.
Okay, but it should always be made out to her. Okay, Northkeep. Oh, did you have a second question here?
That 1099 form, or yeah, that form that you're asking for, that is only for purchases, not necessarily for reimbursement type stuff.
Yes.
Perfect. That's the clarity I needed. Thank you.
Yes, because basically a reimbursement, to understand it for everybody, from an accounting standpoint, is basically they're buying the supplies, you're giving the money back to them for paying for the supplies in advance. So it's not a 1099 in reimbursements do not qualify for a 1099. Again, we've already discussed this. I have to write up some notes about 1099s for groups to understand what warrants and requires a W-9 and a 1099 being issued. There was somebody else, I couldn't see who it was. Okay. Cynthia?
Okay, so to clarify, I just ran an event and I bought supplies and we had a feast and so there were like 2 large checks that went out because I bought everything and then submitted receipts for A, B, C, and D, and E, and it's all on one check to say checks. I don't need a W-9 because there are receipts.
Reimbursement.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
If you are being reimbursed, you do not need a 1099. Okay. Finnegoth?
But if we were contracting with, say, a cook to provide a feast and at X number of dollars for the feast, but they were not bringing us back receipts, that would be a W-9 style.
Exactly. That would be a case of a W-9 because you're contracting a service.
Right. So as long as receipts are present from the originating.
So basically, okay, so this is a case of where it becomes into tricky. Okay, so you've hired a cook. The cook is, it could be they're like, I'm going to cook this event for you for $1,000, okay? Or they could be like, I will cook this event. My fee is $500 plus the reimbursement of expenses. In a case of that, you have to specify you've got to separate that as 2 separate kind of items. Is 500 of it is labor and the other is reimbursement. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Somebody else, I think Cynthia, did you have your hand up?
Yeah. Okay, so but that is not event sites. This is specifically people who would be a contractor.
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Vera, is that your hand still up? Okay. Vera?
If it was, it wasn't meant to be.
Okay, Bringalad.
Okay, so sorry to bother hammer on this. What's the limit on that? Because like we pay a security company for the Bringalad site. For Candlemas, we pay for security that goes to an individual. Do we then need to issue a 1099 to that individual or a W-9 to that individual?
$600. That is the cap. It is a minimum of $600.
Okay, great. And
okay, cash receipts. Cash receipts. This means deposits, all the money that comes in. We love money coming in. And there's something in here, and we'll end up hitting it, and it's coming up right up. Are not limited to basically recur everything that comes in, all kinds of money collected for advertising, fundraising endeavors, donations, money from sales of goods, purchased with the group funds, all of them. This is we're talking about. You should have a cash receipt to verify what it is. And keep notes. Ladies and gentlemen, I always tell people, more information is better when you're working in accounting, because somebody comes in behind you and they're trying to figure out what this is for. If you've given them a story, it makes it so much easier for that person. This is okay. This has not been updated, but everybody please hold on. Don't put it up in your hands. I'm going to explain this next part. All cash receipts must be deposited in an appropriate account no later than 48 hours after receipt by a group officer, account signatory, or designated paid member in good standing. 48 hours. I got clarification on this. 48 business hours. Business hours. Business hours are from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 based on the bank. So you have technically 6 days, or 6 days, 6 business days, or to get your deposits made. This statement was a flag and a half for all the Kingdom Exchequers. 48 hours? Are you kidding me? What if somebody has got the cash and they go home and they come down sick? They're not going to go to the bank. Oh, they're supposed to hand that off to their teenage daughter to go put it to the bank? They can't do that. So 48 hours, it's 48 business hours. Okay? Which is something completely different. So please note that. I know, like I said, it was very disconcerting for everybody, but it is actually 48 business hours. And everybody's like, well, what's business hours? When are banks open? Usually 8 to 5 or 9 to 5. They've got less hours based on your credit union. So you have whatever those hours are. You cannot use any of the cash undeposited funds to use for reimbursements, refunds, or expenditures. Basically, use of online credit card acceptance services by SCA branches is restricted to approval by the Society Exchequer. You cannot use somebody's personal credit card acceptance account of an individual or other businesses under any circumstances. So basically, we're saying credit card acceptance services must be approved via the Society Exchequer. And you can't use somebody's personal account to do that and then have them pay you. That's a no bueno for a group. Okay. Minors may not serve as the primary or sole gate attendant at any event. They may assist at event under the oversight of an adult member in good standing who will ultimately be responsible for the accounting of the funds passing through the gate. At least one paid member must be present in charge anywhere SCA money is collected. Basically, minors are welcome to work at gate, but they must be under oversight of an adult, a member in good standing. Basically, a paid member can oversee gate functions, basically gate coordinator. Site owners may additionally oversee gate functions. But basically, money that comes in, funds collected in the name of the SCA must remain with an authorized SCA member. Again, no funds may be dispersed from gate receipts. Basically, any cash. You cannot give out gate receipts. Now, if somebody walks up to you and goes, hey, I've got 20, can I get a 10 and 2 5s? You look at them and say, I discourage that. I'm going to say that flat out. I discourage that wholeheartedly. But you cannot, no funds can be dispersed, but you're being asked to make change, which is basically, and that is something I would do with 2 people watching and supervising, preferably your gate coordinator. Okay, gate registration, the gate registrations. Basically, your sign-in sheets and the money should be kept separately on the event site. Everybody's heard the story. Somebody put both the gate sheets and the cash in their RV, and the RV caught on fire and nothing can do. Now, I come from a background of insurance. I will explain this to you. If we've got the cash, yay, we have the cash, we can make our deposit. If the cash burns and we have the gate registrations, we can apply to our insurance to cover the funds that were lost in the fire. Or somebody, their insurance on their vehicle or wherever it was put. The insurance on, so that's why we must keep those separate. And a count of the gate receipt shall remain with the funds removed from the gate box by the event checker or the gate coordinator. Gate receipts should be deposited. This is ours in our Kingdom policy. Gate receipts should be deposited within 5 business days following the close of event. Technically, we can't go less than, we can put that is viable. So basically, gate receipts, the cash from a gate, should be deposited within 5 business days. 2 people who are related persons, family, I'm going to specify that, family, are not permitted to solely control gate income. Does that make sense? 2 people who are family cannot solely control gate income, i.e., I can be gate coordinator, but my husband cannot work box. He can work book, but he cannot work box. Bringalad.
Hold on. Did I not turn it off?
I'm sorry?
Did I not turn it off? Sorry.
Okay, I know I saw the, I think it was Namron. Yeah.
So let's say I have a husband and wife, and I'm the gate coordinator, and the husband wants to sit box, and the wife wants to sit book. Is that allowed?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Basically, do you understand? One person is she's handling, one's handling the cash and you're handling the cash. He has nothing to do with the cash. He should not have anything to do with the cash.
Right. I just wanted to make sure because it's come up in the past and I wanted to make sure I knew I had the policy straight.
Yeah. As long as you keep them. And in reality, actually, that is not, now that I'm thinking about it, not related to solely control gate income. No, you should not have 2 of them on there. You can have one of them working, one can work the cash and the other one can do pre-reg, but you cannot have them working the book and the box together.
Okay, that's how I've done it in the past. I just wanted to make sure that I knew what I was doing.
That's where we're running into that malfeasance, because if I'm working the book and I'm like, oh, don't worry, you don't need to sign it, but you need to pay her your $20 and she just got $20 and she pretends to put it on there. And then, you know how it happens. Nobody's near gate. They pull off the $20 and stick it in their pocket. Don't do it.
Okay. I've done it according to how you said in the past. I just wanted to double check that I understood it correctly.
Relay persons are not permitted to solely control gate in them, so they can't do. The pre-reg is an example because the pre-reg is just that's already accounted for. The money is already claimed. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Somebody else. I didn't catch who it was.
It was me. I was going to suggest that having 3 people at gate at all times kind of eliminates that sole control of gating.
Right. Yeah.
And well, other question, is it related in the same household or is it independent in immediate family as well that aren't living in the same house?
Don't like I said, let me specify this. Just don't. Err on the side of caution. Your family? No, I don't want you. If there's a third person there or the gate coordinator is there, that's you can make the call. But I always tell people, err on the side of caution. You do not want to deal with running into, hang on, sorry, anything questionable. Okay. So basically, if somebody gives me a donation, anybody gives a donation to you or to me, please have them have a written indication of the intended purpose for your documentation purposes, or an email saying that, hey, I've donated you $500 for this, and we can and make note of it when you make the donation. So basically, income intended for the College of Heralds shall be written to the kingdom with reference to the College of Heralds in the name of the heralded client. That's changed because we now use PayPal for collection of heraldry fees. Yay, that's beautiful and lovely. Love this. Okay, I stuck this in here. Under here, control cash receipts, electronic reservations and payments. To use an electronic payment system requires approval from the society, Exchequer, and the board. Basically, PayPal is already pre-approved. Permission for electronic funds transfers requires society approval. Kingdom Seneschal and Kingdom Exchequer must reapprove the transfers. Refund requests must be received prior to 10 business days before the event. This is a case of the Kingdom event. Prior to 10 business days before the event. I just like that one. I'm going to change that because quite honestly, some of us don't know we're not coming because we got sick on Friday. Reports for this function are defined by SE officers, including the corporate exchequer, society exchequer, and kingdom exchequer. Oh. That's a weird line. Upon the establishment of this functionality as an independent office within the Kingdom of Ansteorra, said office will report to, directly to the Kingdom Chancellor of the Exchequer as a deputy responsible party, i.e. PayPal deputy, NMR deputy. Basically, okay, that's what 5 is. Basically means that reports of this function, basically any office that is created for electronic reservations and payments is defined by the SCA officers, corporate exchequer, society exchequer, and the Kingdom Exchequer. Okay, any more questions about controlling the money coming in? And information on your deposits is always good. This is the deposit, the event income for this. This is the gate seat for this event. This is, the donations from this event. Separating out the deposits is easier for following up when you have questions about the event. Emma?
Do the like after gate closes donations, do those go on the event report or do those go as donations?
They go on the event report as donations.
Okay, but not on the Exchequer report under donation.
No, they go on the Exchequer report as donations as well.
Okay, but not as
you put it on the event report that you received it at the event, and you put it on the Exchequer report as a donation.
Okay, but not as event income. Because if I put it under event income and then under donations, it's gonna
you would, again, like I said, separating out the 3 things from an event is ideal.
Right.
You want, because what you do is you total up all your cash, and your cash is coming on there. That's why you put it on your event report. But when you put it on your monthly report, it should be your event income. Your gate seed comes in and out.
Right.
Hopefully in the same month. Sometimes it's an overlap. And then your donation income. And you can write, and all you have to do is donations at this event.
Okay.
Because what happens is you have to be able to tie your event report, your gate sheets to the cash that you deposited.
Right.
Does that make sense? And then you have that extra deposits. Cynthia?
I guess the question is if gate closes at 1, and at 4, somebody comes and goes, I want to pay gate, but you've already closed out, sealed the envelopes, and all the money is already allotted. What happens to that money?
You can look at them and go, oh, so you'd like to make a donation to the event? Thank you very much.
And then that would be its own thing as if it donated on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a donation, yeah. And like I said, that's why you keep it, you always have a separate little envelope going donations. Or, or you note it when you stick it in, the envelope, because you cut on all the cash, stick it in there. It's like, $20 added, or $20 donation. And I've had it where I've gone $20 donation. And then somebody else came up and I go $40 donation, am I scratching out, and adding up how much donation is being put in there. But yeah, donations should be recorded separately, but it does become a separate item on your report, and you want to keep track of that because you want to document that, document it. Okay, and I'm going to make this comment right now. If you are gate coordinating or running an event or as Exchequers an event, and you know there is going to be a circle, a peerage circle, keep your gate open. I know it's a pain in the butt, but keep it open until the circle starts. Peers have a tendency, a lot of the peers will just show up later in the day to just go to the circle. So keep your gate open so they can gate in. It's a good rule of thumb to keep that in mind. Controlling the use of inventory. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about trailers. Is the first thing. This is the Society Financial Policy talks about one thing and one thing only: trailers. All trailers owned by the SCA are to be used for storing and transporting SCA property to and from sections. You cannot use trailers owned by the SCA to move personal stuff. Anybody towing the trailer must be a paid member in good standing and tow at their own risk. If you agree to store and tow the trailer, must be made in writing in advance between the paid member, warranted as deputy of the Exchequer, storing or towing the trailer for each trip, and the branch owning the trailer. Each agreement should include specifications of timeframes and calculation of expense reimbursements. Each trip should be considered round trip, and the member towing the trailer is responsible for its return at the end of the trip, unless otherwise specified in the agreement. That's very specific about, this is very important and specific because we do have a lot of groups that have trailers. You have to load them in compliance with the trailer's maximum gross trailer weight rating, maximum tongue weight rating. Basically, don't overload your trailers. And they must be used in compliance with the law. Correct attachments, correct ball, make sure the lights work, all that. So basically, the next one is basically you've loaded up all the group's stuff into the trailer and you're towing it. Oh, there's extra space, and you're still got, you haven't overloaded the trailer. You can put your personal property in there. They're not going to. That is not a problem. So control of the assets. Kingdom policy: all assets must be pre-approved by the appropriate level financial committee. In Kingdom policy, any purchases over $300 must include an indication of the funding allocated via the financial committee for this purpose. Purchases over $1,000 should include answers to the inventory and expenditure justification. Sorry, that's the fun part. And the answers must be posted via the Kingdom Exchequer, or it doesn't represent formal public opinions or communication. So basically, if it's between $300 and $1,000, the financial committee can approve it. If it's over $1,000, it has to go to the kingdom at large to be acknowledged. The inventory must be kept on file by your branch Exchequer. Your inventory list should be updated annually. Good practice, good suggestion. If you know you're going to be unloading or loading up, for an event, take your inventory then if it's near enough. Vera G, go ahead.
Yeah, quick question on on the policy. If we have a item and it's budgeted, like say the chivalry has a $1,500 budget for materials and et cetera, and they just decided to buy $1,000 suit of arms, does that have to go to the populace?
No, because it's already been, it's part. Okay, so I can't imagine somebody, if you're talking about one item, if it's one item that's been approved, like I said, if you're spending, the group is spending a large quantity, buying one large item, you should notify the populace. Like I said, for this, it's $1,000. But if it's like multiple things that total to $1,000, no, that's not relevant because you're buying multiples. Cynthia?
Okay, so our Barony recently bought a trailer like within a year, but we did a vote. So we brought it to the populace, did a vote, and that's
Right.
in line with our financial policy.
Yeah.
So that was fine. In terms of getting the old one off the trailer, it's like 7 years for trailers. Is that correct? For depreciation?
I believe so. Yes, trailers and everything else there's only a few things that are 5 years.
Okay, so and the old one had been old.
Okay,
old.
the trailers and writing them off and issuing them and maybe selling it and getting the funds, that's a question that I've already come across, and I'm going to get an answer on that.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I know that was one of our issues is getting it. Fine, we own it. It's the old one was very old, so that was the how to get it. So we're not on paper owning two because we don't. So
yeah, so and disposing it because there is actually on the new form, and you'll see there's a place for all that. So oh dear heavens, like I said, 2 hours was not enough. Okay, Kingdom Property Management Standard Operating Procedures are found in the section and in the annex. Basically, there's an annex that's in Kingdom policy about how to handle property. Routine maintenance on the trailer should include checking the electrical and the mechanicals, the bearings, the components, and updating vehicle tax. That's a basic issue. Donations of physical items to the Kingdom meet the following definitions. Donations should not be paid for using Kingdom funds. Any property or regalia created without prior written approval will be gratefully accepted as a donation to the Kingdom. Basically, you're going to give something to the Kingdom and then you want to get reimbursed for it. That does not work. You have to be pre-approved. If you donate something, you have to specify how it should be disposed of. And basically, when if the financial committee decides to remove that item, they can attempt to the financial committee should follow those instructions, unless it's like it's completely dead. We can't do what you've asked us to do. And basically, any items donated should answer any of these questions. Inventory and expenditure indicate whether the greater and lesser officers stay being sold about this. Oh, this is basically justification survey. Star Principal Herald, based on what it is, does it have any sumptuary conflict? And ensure correct usage of the Kingdom Armory. Interesting. Extra regarding the financial concerns with it. Chamberlain to prevent any project redundancy. Hey, we did a new bug. If it's for an office that may if it's for a particular office, what office it's for, when it's if it's relevance, timeliness, and usefulness. I love that. Indicate the need for this item. Does the Kingdom already have one of these? If so, why do we need another? If not, why don't we already have one? I love these. When and how. So this is basically, we can kind of skip over this. Basically justifying new items and the care of the upkeep. Always make sure you have the care and upkeep of an item. The crowns in particular, we need to have when you get a cornet, how do you polish it? How do you clean it? We should that information should always be included when your group gets a cornet for the crown or for your baron and baroness. Make sure you have those kind of things. So all these are just basically answer these questions in regarding to those assets for the Kingdom, kind of. And then exactly what needs to be done to the property when it's disposed. The committee plus the Chamberlain have the final authority of disposing of property or regalia, unless there's a request from somebody like, hey, I'd like that returned to me. Sword of State is a perfect example. It's on loan from the lines of Ansteorra. If we'd let them know, hey, we decided somebody donated us a brand new one. We'd like to use it. Not like that's going to happen, but it could. And then basically how we go about removing the items from the inventory. Do we return it to the original artist or donator? Do we auction it off? Do we keep it in storage for historical displays, or do we donate it to a branch? That's happened with trailers. Ooh, I got a duplicate slide in here. Okay, prohibited activities. Raffles, no. And online auctions, no. Fireworks, no. You can purchase a fireworks services company to do fireworks, but no, it's prohibited by the SCA or its representatives. And the use of cryptocurrency or digital assets by the SCA is prohibited. You can't mess with cryptocurrency or digital assets for any purpose. Is that clear? Raffles, raffle. Silent auctions, acceptable. Raffles, no. Online auctions, no. In-person auctions, yes. Formal book reviews, basically, the book review is mandatory when the officer changes. So basically roughly every 2 years, or when the officer changes, whichever occurs first. Branch reviews are performed by warranted exchequer. In this kingdom, we have a special deputy to do that. If not, it does fall to the kingdom exchequer or the society exchequer. But the reviewers must be warranted exchequers in good standing and assigned by the kingdom. There should always be a witness during the review. Whoever's doing the review, the witness could be is usually done with the group exchequer of the group being reviewed. There's a lot of information. You need to make sure you have, and there was a form for these reviews: date of the last formal review, date of the last financial officer change, and back to January 1, 3 years prior, so that at least 2 complete years of activities included. 2 years. They want to review. You want to review 2 years. They're going to record the written records, the financial files, that things are signed. Like I said, we're running out of time, so I want to get it. So basically, once the review is done, you want to give it to the outgoing exchequer and to the financial committee members so they know that the review has been performed and done. I love how that goes. Informal reviews. Financial records are the property of the SCA Inc. and may be made available for examination by any paid member in standing upon a reasonable request at a time and place agreed upon by the Office of the Exchequer and the requester. This is not a formal review of the books. At any time, any member of the populace who is in good standing with the SCA may ask to look at the kingdom's books. They can look at their group's books. Most people don't, because that is why you once a year should update the populace via publication that the group has this much money and how you're doing. You should publish the balance sheet and the income statement. Most people don't know what that is, but some of us. Miscellaneous. This is a lovely. I don't love that. I don't know why they put this in here. It felt like it was in here twice. This policy will be reviewed at least every other year. The exchequer will pull the kingdom, laurel, and war exchequers for suggestions on changes. So in this case, I put the kingdom events, notes about the kingdom events from our kingdom financial policy on here. Basically stating that our champions shall have a kingdom title, designation, funding, or insignia will be handled by the financial committee. And any events for the kingdom include funding or profit split, and control of the event will remain with the financial committee. Any kingdom level event is approved by the financial committee. Branches that hold a recurring kingdom event as defined in kingdom law are required to contribute a portion of the net profits of the event to the kingdom as accounted in kingdom law. We have a 50-50 split right now. Okay, so if a kingdom event is a recurring kingdom event is funded entirely by the Kingdom of Ansteorra, must be hosted either by a SCA branch within the kingdom or via an approved event steward and gate coordinator who reside within the kingdom. Profit splits for those are, again, split by kingdom law. When possible, the kingdom exchequer will place preference for a bid hosted via a via a branch. So basically, if we get 2 bids, one is hosted by a branch and one is hosted by an individual who's doing it for the kingdom, we will make a preference for the branch. Things required for your event bids: your budget and identification of who the event steward is and the gate coordinator, both of which who must be acceptable to the Kingdom Financial Committee. Oversight for event functions is the Kingdom of Seneschals is responsible for oversight of those event functions, as well as or their designated deputy or representative. The final event report for a Kingdom event are the responsibility of the Kingdom Exchequer or designated representative. Now, here it is. This is the old outdated one, and I'm going to leave this as current comp site is Ansteorra Crown and their heirs, and current royalty from any SCA kingdom. That also includes, but is not, but because it was put into kingdom law, but was not updated in Kingdom Financial Policy, their Serene Highnesses, the Prince and Princess of Vinheim. They are comped. Any variances to policy must be granted by the Society Exchequer on a case-by-case basis or limited time basis, subject to review by the board of directors. Sometimes they will give a variance, and they will be doing this so somebody can be a case study to see how well this works. Any more questions? Did I finish up in the 2 hours? Oh, whoa, I got 1 minute. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? Any questions at all? Hang on. I need to.
Don't forget to fill out the feedback form so that you receive your warrant for this class.
And I know we had some hands raised. Diego?
Where's the feedback form?
Vera was before me.
Vera?
I just have a quick question about the trailers and stuff like that, and the fact that they have to be a deputy exchequer, as mentioned. If we were to put into our financial policy something along the lines of a marshal or something like that is acting on behalf, is temporarily acting as on behalf of, to drive a trailer, would that suffice, or do they actually have to be a quote unquote
The
deputy of the
society
exchequer?
says they have to be warranted as a deputy. Just like you have to warrant a gate coordinator.
Okay, and would they have to take this class?
This class is, we are recording this class so they can take it. Okay.
I just want to throw in real quick. Someone had asked where the feedback form is. The link is in the chat.
Diego, now I think it's you.
So we had one of the members of our populace ask a question about donations as far as mundanely. Their company allows them to do a yearly donation from their company to a nonprofit organization, and they were asking if that needed to be directed to Kingdom and then funneled down to us, or if it was something that they could directly donate to the barony.
You can accept donations. The baronies can accept donations.
Okay, I need to.
When
They had
Winfrey?
some question to it.
Yeah,
and I'm trying to.
There are a lot of companies that will require the tax ID of the 501c3 before they'll make that donation. If they require that, your donation is going to go to the SCA corporate, and all you have to do is send an email to the SCA corporate from your Exchequer email address, advise them that it's coming, and then they will forward those funds to you after they have received them.
Is that written somewhere so that I can 'Cause my
It's
brain's
not, but feel
processing
free,
quick
this is
enough.
Adalia, feel free to ping me. This is what I have to go through for my company.
Okay.
So this is my personal experience, not some sort of policy thing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Namron, I'm just going how you appear. I don't know what order you guys are going, so thank you, Adalia.
There was talk at one point about the whole society or everybody going to one bank or something. Is that still on the table?
Okay, I'm gonna back that up. So spoke with corporate. They are requiring that they would like all the kingdom level officers the kingdoms to do it, because the society Exchequer has been flying around the country to become signatories on bank accounts. And by putting us all the kingdoms on Chase, then she can be the signatory electronically and doesn't have to do that.
Got it. I just knew I was going to need to order checks soon, and I was trying to figure out how many checks I needed to order.
Groups do not need to be on a Chase bank account.
Cool.
You can be on a local bank account that works for your group. Okay. So that I finally got a final answer. They would like kingdoms on it. So there's a couple variances for specific groups who've got like everybody in their kingdom on all that one bank account. So they have that one exception. So, but no, you guys do not have to go to Chase. You can stay on whatever little group you are on. Again, now I'm in here seeing Emma. Emma Salinas, you got a question?
In the wrong button. Clarification on the comps. Is that one entourage for each, the king and queen, or one for both?
On the kingdom policy?
Yes.
There's the kingdom policy doesn't have a right now currently does not show that it says the crown and their heirs.
Okay.
That does not say an entourage at this point in time.
So we are not allowed to comp attendance.
If you have it in your policy or have put it on the budget for that event, you can comp them.
Okay.
Because if you put it on the budget, the financial committee approves it. So therefore it's the same as it being on the financial policy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So budget or on the policy.
According to our budget, it says, comp attendance according to kingdom policy. So we just wanted to clarify.
Again, like I said, all these adjustments, it's like the reason why kingdom policy states just the crown and their heirs and the prince and princess of Vinheim. I'm saying it right. I'm thinking of Adalia listening to me going, nah. So that I think that's why they only say just the royalty, and they don't say about entourage. A group can decide if they want to comp the entourage for the crown.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's good. Exchequer of Glaslyn.
Hi, I'm Ida. I know it doesn't change and I couldn't figure out how to do it. I was just curious, when we were in the silent or in-person auctions, are there any additional fundraising opportunities that we know are cleared by SCA?
You've seen what you cannot do.
Okay, so everything else is fair game. Like a bake sale, craft sale.
Bake sale, craft sale, yeah, they do. Vinheim, man, they're always doing some kind of bake sale. But the best way to handle those, just for ease and convenience, is have somebody run the bake sale or the craft sale and whatever, and then make that donation to the group.
Gotcha. Okay. So the individual runs the booth and then
runs it, because you can't, you get into that taking SCA money to do something, and then have an individual run it.
Individual runs booth.
Run it and then make the donation to the group. It's easier and cleaner and keeps the SCA happy for our nonprofit status. Bring a lot. I see you there.
Yeah. Okay, real quick, going back to the question of the purchases over $1,000, is that any purchase over like $1,000, we need to get a kingdom approval? Like if I want to buy if the group wants to buy a pavilion,
you need to have that approved by your populace.
By populace, we don't have to send it up for kingdom to approve it. Got it. Okay, I misunderstood that.
Yeah. hang on, I'm just double checking. I'm scrolling backwards. Where's my $1,000?
It was part of Kingdom Financial Policy about
I'm reading it.
assets and things, regalia.
Yeah, that's basically, it really has to do with something like that. But for individual groups, you want to, when you spend excessive amounts of money over $1,000, you definitely want to do that. If you spend over $7,000, it must be approved by society, just so you know. Okay, I'm like sitting here going, who raised their hand? Who raised their hand? Oh shoot. Isabella, I'm just grabbing a name, like what I'm seeing.
Thank you. I'm not savvy on this kind of a thing. So somebody said the survey was on the chat. How
Yes.
do I get to the chat to do the survey?
There's a little box on the bottom right that's got it looks like a message box.
Okay.
Bottom right of your screen.
I don't have anything bottom right. I have stuff in the middle. I have a microphone. I have emoji. I have a hand, and I have a hang up.
If you're on mobile,
right here
with the three dots.
I'm sorry. Say again.
If you're on mobile, there should be under more under three dots.
Okay, on three dots. I've got volume. I've got settings.
You're on your phone. Swipe
No, sir. I'm on my iPad.
Okay. Oh, your iPad? That's
the whole thing to the left.
Sorry. I don't mean to stall y'all out. Is there another way I can do this offline so I don't keep off?
Okay. Bradley, Sean.
So going to the whole Chase Bank thing,
Mhm.
I like the idea of switching to Chase, but I know that when I tried to switch to Chase when I was Kingdom, Chase threw a fit because Vendheim already has a Chase account and the EIN is the same. Have they fixed that?
I am not aware about that.
We ran into something similar with that with EINs and business names.
I would hope that the Chase EIN issue that's been resolved, because we're supposed to have one point of contact for the setting up Chase accounts now. It's not just you go in, we have a point of contact that we use through society to get it set up. And I'll get more information on that.
All right. Can you send me that point of contact when you get more information? Because I would love to switch over to Chase and make this a faster process.
Yes. I love that. Okay, I'm going to go to Cynthia.
Okay, so how would a group exchequer make deputy exchequers?
How do you make deputy exchequers? You fill out basically you make sure they know what they're doing with regards to what they're doing. Quite honestly, I'm going to talk to society because I want to talk to them about this trailer issue, because I'm like, to make somebody a deputy, it's like they should be warranted, and that means they got to take this entire financial policy. I'm like, they're hauling a trailer. All they need to know is what they need to know about trailers. So, but having a deputy, is
that something they can fill in an AMP to say this person is
yes.
their deputy?
We're working on getting deputies set up in AMP.
Okay.
So we can have that. There was a discussion about the emails and what kind of email we need to use for that. And quite honestly, but they have to be in AMP in order to be warranted in AMP.
Correct.
There is a form that it can be used for warranting them that you should print out, fill it out, and then send it up to me.
Okay, because I am not the exchequer, but I know our exchequer needs deputies, and I want to make it easy process. So
yeah, it quite honestly, they should be able to make you a deputy. I don't know if they have it set up yet, but we're trying to make sure warranting can be done for the Office of the Exchequer in AMP, because they can do it for these marshalates, and our job is a little bit more important than the marshalate, just a little bit more, because it's money in the government coming after us. Fastrada, you have a question?
Yeah, in the process of setting up PayPal, sometimes I have to communicate obviously with local Exchequers regarding things like comps and Family Max and things like that. And I'm constantly trying to refer them back to their local group's financial policy. And I tell them if you don't have anything there, you have to refer back to Kingdom or Society's financial policy on that item. In needing to redirect them on how to fix it if they have an issue. Are financial committees allowed to amend their financial policy whenever they want, or is it one time a year,
Yeah.
or what?
They can do it anytime they want.
And so just for the benefit of everyone here hearing it, what do they need to do to make that happen?
Basically, they amend their they have a they have a financial committee meeting to amend the policy. They approve the verbiage. They sign the copy of the financial policy. The financial policy has to come up to me. I approve it. Then it goes back to the group, and the group should have their financial policy posted on their website so that anyone who has a question can actually look at it and verify it.
Okay, and they can also do that as far as meeting virtually. It doesn't have to be in person, but as long as the changes are communicated in writing via email,
right,
they're okay. All right.
Yeah, because basically they can sit down and have a virtual meeting going, hey, I think we need to change this section of the financial policy, yada, yada, yada. This, okay, this is the verbiage. What everybody agrees. Okay, great. I'm going to send it to you electronically. You all need to sign it. Oh, great. I've got all my signatures. Okay, last person who's got to do it is the Kingdom Exchequer. I've got to sit down and review it versus Society and Kingdom and go, yep, you're all good. Bye. Or I can respond with, no, change this verbiage to this because that's a little, whatever. But then they could do it. And it's like the minute I sign off on it, that's when they should. And quite honestly, you should have a signature page as part of your financial policy. That was the last thing you should have on your financial policy is signature page that is signed off by your financial committee, whoever those members are and what office they hold, or if they are a member at large or whatever. And the last one should be Kingdom Exchequer. And the Kingdom Exchequer should be reviewing financial policies, making sure they're in compliance with Society and Kingdom policy and approving it. And then it gets posted to your Kingdom website, put it in your newsletter. Here's our new financial policy. Really, it should be up on your Kingdom newsletter. All the Kingdom financial policies of the known world are up on the SCA.org. They're up there.
Thank you.
Very good. I know somebody else had their hand raised. I'm just trying to find who was. Or is that it? Any more questions? I know we're running to lunch. But ladies and gentlemen, I know many of you are like, why did I have to take the warranting class again? Society financial policy has completely changed. And to warrant you, to make sure you are warranted properly, and I had started a different slideshow, PowerPoint presentation. One of the things you should do, read Society policy, read Kingdom financial policy, Society financial policy, Kingdom financial policy. You should have those read, and you should know your own. And if you're in Vinheim, you should know Society, Kingdom, Vinheim, and your own. And I'm sorry about that. And I even need to know Vinheim's because I should be the one approving it. I have to approve it. So I have to see every group's financial policy, and they should be up on your group's website as soon as they've been approved. So here, and this is a perfect case in point. So PayPal can easily access it. Your populace can easily access it. So this is the big thing. But like I said, I'm telling everybody, it's like, if you want to start working on yours, please do so, but do not submit it to me to approve, because unless there's something very relevant that, is time sensitive, I'm not going to approve it, because I know you're going to completely have to redo it until I finish Kingdom policy. And like I said, I have, most of you are, what's the deadline? I'm like, quite honestly, I would like to have Kingdom financial policy revised before Gulf Wars. I don't know if it'll probably be approved after Gulf Wars, but I'd like to get it done because yours is technically due in July to get it reviewed and approved. Exchequer's Handbook PDF. Okay, the Kingdom Exchequer's Handbook. That thing is, they've updated it. There's a new, and let me see. I don't know if I can.
I found it. I'm just saying that the link that we have under Office of the Exchequer Documents, PDF Handbooks, Exchequer's Handbook revised April 2020, that link goes to a 404 error.
404 area. Yeah, there's a new financial, they've got a new.
Yeah, there's a new one for 2025 that is sitting at Society, but